charge of the exploration in the possibility of this project, and we basically our central question to answer is whether this name change in institutional nomenclature will help the reputation and enrollment here at Messiah.
So in order to continue with this, our next steps, we decided to meet with John Chapka to understand what the status is currently here at Messiah and what tools would help us to better gather information to deliver our recommendations. Also to understand the technicality and difficulties for these changes.
So what does it mean to rename Messiah College? Basic knowledge that we had was that competition is rising among different educational institutions, and so more and more institutions are choosing to rename their schools or even just changing the meanings just to become more attractive and raise the prestige of the school. A recent study found that more than 530 out of the 3,000 mainstream colleges and universities have either changed or considered changing their names since 1996.
So, what are some in researching our project, we were able to find some of the core reasons of why some colleges have already changed their names. For example, schools such as Beaver College, which we now know as Arcadia University, has rebranded themselves for academic implications. Other colleges that were formerly women's colleges have also changed their names to reflect their new co-ed status. Other situations where colleges change their name, for example, Chapman University College, they're now Bradman University after so Bradman gave a quite large sum in donation, and more frequently name changes seem to be more due to like marketing purposes. In our research, I was able to gather information based on a faculty member from Mountain University, Olmsted. He did quite a lot of research on rebranding universities, and he knows that about 2 colleges have already upgraded to universities to reflect the status of their graduate programs. Our basic knowledge is the differences between colleges and universities is the size and the structure of the organization. So a lot of the colleges have already have moved on to the university status because of their growing programs. And his research also shows that on average, it's not a very huge difference in enrollment at first or in revenues. But those schools that have, but there are schools that have changed, that have some significant change in terms of their revenues and popularity. Two Christian schools that have already made a change. For example, Atlanta Christian College, which is now Point University. They have Point University. Basically deliver their change to the public, explaining it as in a reflection of where their school has come from and where it's going. They moved locations, and it's also a reflection of their uniqueness of their students and culture, and preparing them for their facets of life. Belhaven College is another Christian college that has also made the transition to a university. They addressed that the university change stance was successful in the sense that they were able to come up with 6 benchmarks, and that their school fit all 6 benchmarks, which measured up to them in their transition to a university.
So next we took a look at costs and what it would cost for Messiah to actually rebrand as Messiah University. And we looked at, again, the research by Austin that they changed from
So then we decided to take a survey, and we wanted to see what the students thought. So we conducted a survey here at Messiah, and we surveyed about 65 students and their take on the issue. We asked them, what do you think employers value more, a degree from a college or university, or is it equally important? Our results showed that 48% said they believe employers value a university more, while 38% thought college, and 15% were kind of on the fence. We then asked, would Messiah changing its name from college to university impact you positively or negatively? Basically, what is their current standpoint of the name change, and what do they believe will happen or come with the change? We found out 80% believed it would be positive, while 15% believed a negative change, and 5% thought there would be no effect whatsoever.
And also in researching, based on the other Christian colleges that have already made the change, with Belhaven University, when their students were surveyed, over 50% of students said that the name change would benefit them in graduating from a university versus a college, and helping them in the job market.
So the question is, where does Messiah stand as of now? Their first theme that they're looking at is the strategic communication, and what they're considering is how this change in the institutional nomenclature will help enrollment and reputation, as well as working this change into their strategic plan. Their goal that they consider as goal 4 will evaluate the desirability of changing to university status, with the idea of enhancing institutional profile on the East Coast through its mission and institutional distinctiveness. To pursue the change further, Messiah is going to have to follow the following action steps, which some have already begun. Fall of 2012, which is currently happening, they've been investigating application and approval process for the change. In this coming spring, they will interview leaders of institutions who have undergone the change, and as well as identify defining characteristics of a college versus a university. But to be successful in these steps, Messiah will be using the CCU articles and further consultations.
So as far as recommendations and what to consider, based on the data that we have gathered, Messiah College should continue, in the light of its strategic plan, to consider the options of changing it to a university status. As Messiah envisions the transition, strategic planning is necessary. This is consisted of making needed organizational changes, allotting adequate preparation time, involving constituents in selecting the new name, and securing proper resources. A few things for Messiah to keep in mind as they go about this change is schools that have had successful name changes in the past have limited their organizational size, as well as the time involved. It says nearly 2 years for a change like this to occur. While some schools did take less time, a number have underestimated the actual time for this change. And then finally, funding is also important and critical for this change to make sure that it's there throughout the entire process.
And this information was also taken from Goldstein's research, from his paper.
Now, how to facilitate and go about this change. We came up with a few steps that we think this organization needs to follow up in. First, it's ultimately to decide whether or not the information gathered is enough to further the name change to Messiah University. Ultimately, it's their decision. It's Messiah's decision. So based on the information, whether or not they believe it's up to their liking, they will go from there. To proceed successfully, though, a few steps need to be taken in order to lead change properly. Our first recommendation is to establish this sense of urgency. If this is a change that they decide to pursue, naturally, like any change, there are going to be people, like in the surveys, who are against it, who are kind of confused about what it means for them. So it's important for Messiah to voice the faculty, and especially the current students here, what this change means. This change should be voiced, and it can be done by examining current performance and comparing it to other private schools our size, illustrating the need for this change. It's important definitely to show in the urgency why this change, why they believe this change is needed. Second, communicating the change vision. Scientists communicate the change with the campus regularly. It's important for faculty and students to understand what comes with it, what does it mean for them. They can do this by utilizing the different media channels, social networks, email, school website, etc. They want to eliminate all uncertainty that anyone on campus may have about this change. Also, our final recommendation would be to conduct a campus-wide survey, similar to what we did, but on a larger scale. You can get a better representation of the opinion, the overall opinion of the name change. Does their view of Messiah change when they change to Messiah University? Do they have any worries about the change? Stuff like this. This can better suit them for the appropriate decision, and the surveys can also be repeated to show change over a period of time, as in before the change and then after the change. So that is all. We look forward to working with you in the future and to help facilitate this change. And we thank you for your time, and I hope to talk to you guys soon.
Questions for these guys? Who were your 65 students? Was that?
They were at random. I had we didn't have enough time to do the online Qualtrics survey and
To do that, I'm sorry.
the Qualtrics survey.
Mhm.
What I did, I didn't know if we would have enough time to have immediate results. So I just conducted the survey on Qualtrics, and then you can print it out. So I just went immediately, I worked immediately, so I just read the friends and students like that. And at first it was interesting because at first students thought that they didn't know is this for real, and I was like, it's a project on them. But I was gonna comment that I didn't know at the time a lot of students that overall I got a lot of positive feedback. The students that said that the students that thought that the college degree was better, those students, what I got, what I interpreted from their feedback was that they already they were more hesitant to change. They just like how it is. They think a lot of those students are, I think the majority of us, since I know them more personally, have already established relationships with people that career-wise, with people that already connected to Messiah College, with the Messiah community. So they think going abroad would kind of change that or skew their chances of building those relationships. The students that voted both were kind of my careless friends that don't really
Sure.
think that. And then the students that thought negatively of the name change were a majority of the students that thought that it should remain as a college. A lot of them were again worried about community being the view of community outside becoming more different, or Messiah, or the fear of Messiah, the name of Messiah being lost in the change of university.
Mhm.
So.
Okay, great. Thank you.